part of grounded masculinity, and true masculinity is to actually get past that and to be in control of your libido. And women respect that so much more. A sexually disciplined man, and a man who can resist those urges and bypass that in the pursuit of actually finding like a deeper connection. And in today's day and age, I would actually say the emotional, the inner work, and the integration of the feminine is the bit that so many guys are lacking in. They're afraid to face up to.
Hi guys, welcome back to Liberate Your Bliss. I am Chelsea, and today we're going to dive deep again into the world of masculine energy and relationships and the journey towards embodying grounded masculinity in our increasingly complex society. This podcast may be controversial to some of you and may be a little stirring, but again, we're searching for everyone's embodied truth. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to Ollie, a visionary who's dedicated his life to helping men navigate the choppy waters of modern day masculinity. Because right now, in a world where traditional gender roles are evolving and societal expectations are shifting, Ollie really stands as a beacon of wisdom, offering a path to authentic, grounded masculinity. And in our soul-stirring conversation today, we're going to really explore the challenges men face in relationships and dating and how these challenges reflect broader societal imbalances that are going on. And we'll dive deep into Ollie's personal journey and the insights that he's gained about what it truly means to be a grounded, authentic man in today's world. So whether you're a man seeking to deepen your understanding of yourself or someone who wants to better understand the men in your life, me included, this episode promises to offer profound insights. And we'll discuss how to cultivate healthy relationships, navigate the complexities of modern dating, and find balance in a world that really feels out of sync sometimes. Get ready to challenge your perceptions with this one, gain some new perspectives, and have an open mind. Thank you for coming on. Excited to chat with you about everything involving men in modern day society. So let's just kick it off with, what do you think is wrong with the way society is filtered through the lens of masculine and feminine right now?
I think it's out of balance is the main thing. I would say there's been too much of a shift against masculinity, where, particularly in men, where masculinity has been stigmatized and demonized in men, but then simultaneously it's been promoted in women. And for me, that's fucked up the balance that there's meant to be of the two forces. And I think it's causing a lot of confusion for both men and women, and is ultimately disrupting the harmony of society.
So why do you think it's become that way?
For me, a lot of it comes down to the growth of feminism, particularly the fourth wave, Me Too feminism. So this is one of the things that I speak about a lot in my content, and one of the areas that I get the most abuse and hate for, because I see the contemporary feminist movement as being inherently against gender equality. It's much more of a female superiority based and misandry, so anti-male, like prejudicial against male based kind of movement. It's kind of pushed this idea that they are mainly responsible for the idea that masculinity is bad, around concepts like toxic masculinity, fragile masculinity, pushing this idea that men are inherently sinful, that they're inherently bad, they're the cause of all problems in the world. For that reason, we need to control men, and men need to know their place, and you cannot criticize that movement. And I think that movement in itself influenced so much of contemporary society through the government, through the media, through popular culture, that it's become the contemporary narrative, so what people just believe to be true. And we're seeing a reversal away from that now, which could potentially swing too far the other way with the likes of like Trump and Musk in America. But yeah, long-winded way of saying, I think a big result of it is because of the growth of the fourth wave feminist movement, but also society changing. You know, traditional jobs declining, traditional masculine jobs. There's less of them now. So there's a lot of men who are now lost and unsure what their role is in society. So there's multiple factors, but for me, the feminist movement is probably the biggest reason for it.
Now tell me more about what you believe to be masculine and feminine. Like what, define a masculine for me.
Yeah, it's such an interesting one, isn't it? Because masculinity is something that is always changing in its definitions, and we've seen that throughout history. Masculinity is always more moldable. Femininity is more strictly identified with the fact that biologically women have a very clear role in the reproductive cycle, right? femininity is always going to be tied in with the role of the woman to be the one that bears the child and gives birth, right? And you can see that in terms of like female behaviours, you know, like biologically women are proven to be more nurturing than men are. We can see this from like babies and toddlers. Whereas the role of the man, it kind of changes, and we can see that in today's society, like with the fact that you've got more successful women now, and there's a push for men to be in more like nurturing roles, etc., etc. But to bring it back to, in terms of what masculinity is, for me, masculinity is the classic things like being strong, being grounded, so able to hold space, being resilient, being able to provide the classics, being dominant as well, but not dominant, it often gets stigmatized as being like a bad thing. For me, dominance is more of like being able to take the lead. I think that's a better way to put it. But yeah, these classic things like strength, being grounded, for me that's fundamentally what masculinity is, but it can change.
And I want to just kind of make sure as I know there's a lot of people here that talk about masculine, feminine, and we're talking about gender. We're not talking about gender here. We're talking about energetics. So I really want to make sure for people listening that it has nothing to do with gender.
Yeah.
This is an energy system. And I think what's really important to note is that on Earth, we live in a polar field. Yeah. Which means that in order for black to exist, there has to be white. In order for peace, there has to be war. In order for feminine, there has to be masculine, 1-0. It's just a reality of this world we're living in with the senses. So anything we can see, touch, taste, smell, or hear is in the world of the senses, and it has a pole. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you so much in that there's a warped view of that energy, because I don't really believe that we want anyone to be hyper one way or hyper the other. Exactly. And I think that because we go so extreme, and this happens with everything, right? It's like we go extreme one way, and then in order for it to come into balance, because it always does, it goes to extreme the other way. So I guess I'd love to know, like, in your opinion, what would a balanced masculine energy be like?
Where a lot of guys go wrong with masculinity is they see it as just being things like strength, stoicism, financial success. A lot of it's very external, the standard markers, like, are you jacked, do you have money, do you fuck loads of women? And it's very surface level, and that kind of narrative of masculinity is being pushed much more against what the contemporary feminists have been pushing, which is why you've seen the emergence of people like Tate, the red pill growing so much. For me, balanced masculinity, it's recognizing factors like that, like, yes, getting in shape, being able to fight. These things, they're good. Like, if you're strong, if you can fight, if you're stoic, like most masculine energy dominant people, like you said, it's not just a gender thing, but look, most men are masculine dominant, right? They will feel better for those things, but also in today's day and age, I would actually say the emotional, the inner work, and the integration of the feminine is the bit that so many guys are lacking in, and they're afraid to face up to, because they don't want to admit or recognise that we all have that balance within us, and it will be labelled as being gay if they try to integrate the feminine. But it's like, look, we all fucking have masculine and feminine within us, both men and women. And I think that's the idea of masculinity that we want to advocate for now, is getting men to do the inner work and understanding things like the inner child, masculine and feminine polarity, understanding what the feminine looks for and what the masculine looks for, because that is going to help us to have better relationships, to be better fathers, to be better partners, the list goes on, and I think ultimately would lead to a more harmonious society.
And I think back in the day, you know, when our parents, I think about, you know, my parents and their parents and how they were brought up. Like, they were brought up during war and famine and battle, and there was a real need for that big masculine push, right? But now the way that we fight, we don't just go into a battlefield with two giant armies and run into each other, right? It's much more, it's different, it's shifted. And I think with that, the roles, like you said, have shifted as well. And I think with the rise of what I see that happened is a lot of men were out of balance in the beginning with what masculinity meant, and they left the women high and dry. And the women then weren't safe, and they were left with babies all by themselves. You see a ton of that in my parents' generation, and probably the generation between ours and How old are you?
27.
27. So I'm 37. So
Yeah.
I see it, I think our generation is shifting that, where we're actually going into partnership in a more balanced way. But there's so many single mothers that then they had to play both the masculine and the feminine role. They hardened, they weren't able to be nurturing because they had to survive. And we can't be in the feminine when we're surviving. It's just not possible, because the feminine energy of feeling and loving and nurturing, that is kind of out the window when we're in a state of survival.
Yeah.
So I think that's been the big problem. And with this what we're seeing with divorce rates and, just women raising kids alone, it makes sense to me that women have kind of become hyper-masculine.
Yeah, but they've been encouraged it as well through things like the girl boss movement and all the initiatives that there's been through positive discrimination. For example, like a key one of these is with STEM, like science, technology, etc. There's been huge pushes to get more women into STEM. And it's like, okay, fair enough, like that's all right, but we can see in the most gender egalitarian, the most equal countries, like the Scandinavian ones, when women have the choice, they still don't go for those avenues. It's still very much male dominant. So I think there's been very much like a cultural emphasis on women to become more masculine. And the origins of that aren't bad, because in the past, women were in a patriarchal society. I don't believe that in the West, we exist in a patriarchy anymore, but in the past we did. It wasn't as easy for them to succeed in education, to get jobs. They didn't have the same rights around like home ownership and even with stuff like credit cards. It's gone the other way now, where it's just been pushed for women to essentially be like the traditional example of a man, and I think that's making a lot of women unhappy. But it's a really difficult one to navigate, because it's like I'm not a traditional conservative type of person. Like, I don't believe that women should just be homemakers and that the man should be out providing. Like, and for me personally, in terms of what I look for in a woman, like I want a woman who's actually doing something as well, who's like intelligent and like has a job going on. But I do think that there's this push on women to be like the high achieving men that just isn't what the vast majority of women want. Realistically, I think it is far more of a masculine and male thing to want to be working like the 12-hour shifts and climbing the corporate ladder or driving in entrepreneurship. And of course there's some women who want to do it, but let's be real, it is a much more male dominant field. And I think this narrative that's been pushed on women to try and be like those guys isn't particularly helpful.
Well, how do you think it would be possible to be within your feminine energy, but also an entrepreneur? Do you think that that's possible?
As a woman?
As a woman.
Or either. I think it's possible, you could tap into that masculine, energetic part of yourself in terms of wanting to build the business, but then be very much in recognition of, if you are feminine dominant, that you like to nurture and you do want to look after and raise a family and all the other attributes that come with that. But I've been around a lot of successful women over the last few years, and I found a lot of them, they would outsource that part of things. They have their nannies who are doing the child rearing for them so that they can focus on their work. I think it is something that a lot of women struggle to find that balance with. But then also I'd say, you can make the decision yourself. You can build your life around it. If you want to be in your feminine, what can you do to make your life enable that? Do you make it so that you have more time in your calendar, that you're doing these things that make you feel embodied in your feminine energy? Which maybe is a masculine way of looking at it, because it's a pretty like structured, logical.
It's a really great, I say this to a lot of most women that I work with are burnt out. Yeah. They are burning the candle at both ends of the stick. They've got some business, they're a boss babe, they've got all the money, traveling in the world, but they struggle with intimacy. They struggle with pleasure. They struggle with actually even receiving orgasms, because for them in order to receive an orgasm, for women listening, like, you have to surrender, you have to let go. And we can't let go unless we feel safe. And I believe that if women really were raised to be safe, and they were with a man that made them feel safe, they wouldn't be pushing so hard to prove something. Because I think the masculine energy is a lot about achieving, and less about receiving. It's proving yourself, going somewhere. It's that linear thing, whereas the feminine's kind of like, we feel differently. And we kind of want to move with that. But I guess I don't know if we've really created a society for the feminine to thrive. So how do we shift that? I think about if I was to give up my business and stay home with the kids, my biggest fear, which comes from what I saw with my own childhood, is my father leaving. And then there's no system to protect the woman and the mothers. There's not enough, you don't get enough government assistance to raise a family. We don't value the role of mother. That's not a value. In society, it's like if you're a mother, you're expected to be a mom and work. And how do you do that? It's really, like you said, it's really hard to do both of those things, be the provider, the protector, and the mother.
For sure. Well, I guess that's where you have the initiatives, whether it be from the government or charity, where you incentivize women to take up those roles and emphasize the role of mothers as being a very core part to our society. I know in America it's different because you get fuck all worker protections, but in Europe, again, the Scandinavian countries, you have very good maternity pay and I think paternity pay actually as well in Scandinavia, these kind of things. It's a difficult one. I don't know if you've come across Richard Reeves before, who's like one of the leading experts on the masculinity crisis, as people call it. He wrote a book called Boys and Men, and he heads up the American Institute for Boys and Men. And he personally advocates for us redefining the role of men in today's society, that actually they should take more of a role in the child rearing process, and that we should encourage more men into these caring roles, whether it be like nursing or kindergartens, like more stay-at-home dads, etc., etc. Which I naturally, when I hear that, I'm like, I don't think that's going to work. But there is an argument for it, which would potentially then allow the woman, if women are now more in the masculine and succeeding more and making more money, it would allow them to do that, and then the men step into a slightly different position. But I personally think that goes against the natural way of things. I don't think it would work out.
Well, I even think if we think about it, yes, we can talk about energetics and the roles in this and how it shifts with society, but let's talk like a little bit of science here. Women do not have enough testosterone to maintain that adrenaline of do on a regular basis. We only have the same amount of testosterone as you guys do for 2 days in the 29-day cycle, whereas your hormones every day, they replenish, and you're able to, you can live the same day every single day. Women, we can't. And most women that I meet, they're in adrenal fatigue. They're pumping with cortisol. Most of them are struggling with weight because they don't feel safe, so they start stacking on weight, and then they're malnourished because then they undereat to try to lose the weight. So it's like this crazy phenomenon where there's no safety in how, most of my clients and what they're experiencing. But I think society has really fucked us to get us to this point. So I guess how do we shift that? Like, how do you see us shifting that?
It's a really difficult one, because the debate will always come back to, you have like the people on the right saying we need to go back to how it was. Like, we need the nuclear family again, how it was in the 1950s. We need to restore the natural order. And then you have those on the left saying that actually it's changing and we need to redefine how we view masculinity and femininity. I personally would like to try and find a middle way and a balance with it. But in terms of what I advocate for with my own audience and how I speak to men who are my target audience, I think men embodying masculinity and embracing that is overall going to be a good thing. And I think women embracing femininity too, and actually being told it's okay if you don't want to be a girl boss. Actually, like, this is a rare group of girls that want to do this. Like, if you do want to be a mother, that's okay. Because you'll see this as well with like a lot of the women who say that they want to be a mother, they're happy to accept this more traditional role. They will get fucking ridiculed by the left and the feminists. Oh, you're a pick-me girl. Like, oh, it's internalized patriarchy, it's internalized misogyny and everything else. And I think that's so harmful and completely undermines the ability of a woman to make up her own mind as well and think as an individual, like, moral agent. So I think we need to encourage actually people in general just to say, yes, men should embrace their masculinity and women should embrace their their femininity. Like, I don't want us to go back to the 1950s. I don't want it to be that really outdated way where women were very much controlled by men. But I do think that there is a lot of natural and like evolutionary psychology based stuff that comes into this that we're not going to get rid of. Like, it's normal for women to be more nurturing and want to raise families and take on that role, and it's normal for men to want to go out to provide and to be strong and to go and do things to seek and achieve.
I'm guessing a lot of people come at you from the Tate side of things. Do they say
as in like my critics?
Mm-hmm. Do they kind of say that you have similar views to him?
Oh yeah, yes. I mean, I frequently get labelled as the latest one that I keep getting accused of is being a fucking incel. Like,
I just learned that word on that show, Adolescent. What is an incel?
So the incels they're a subculture, an internet subculture of men. Incel stands for involuntarily celibate. So they're inherently self-victimizing through the definition, but they're saying that, you know, they want to have attention from women, but through involuntarily they don't get women. Like they see themselves as too pathetic to get the attention from women, and women won't sleep with them. Incels as a group have, with adolescents, which we can touch on, prime example of this, there's basically been a huge moral panic created around incels as a group, where the left and the feminist lobby have essentially tried to make out that they are a really dangerous far-right extremist group of men who are out to murder women, that they're all brainwashed by Andrew Tate, that they're all rampant misogynists, and that they're a huge risk to our society at the moment. I would say that they are a risk because you've got a lot of self-victimizing men who have a really unhealthy way of viewing things. And most incels, it's been shown, like, they're disproportionately autistic, disproportionately suicidal, disproportionately prone to anxiety, etc., etc. But
well, with a label like an incel, I can imagine you becoming very anxious, suicidal, and depressed.
Yeah, well,
why would anybody even want that label?
Yeah. Well, they label it themselves. This is the thing. It's a group identity.
I see.
So they provide each other with kind of like familiarity and support. Like they're all kind of lingering in their self-victimization and their misery. Right, and they kind of fit into what you call like the black pill side of the manosphere. So like,
okay,
they're really. They're not Andrew Tate-esque, because Andrew Tate is saying to men to like get a six-pack to make money and to get women, whereas they're being like, oh no, we're all too pathetic to get women, essentially. But the key crux of it is that incel has become a widely used term, particularly by the left and the feminists, without actually understanding what it means in the first place. And it's generally used as a way of demonising men and undermining them, and essentially saying, you know, you're a man who can't get female attention, you're a misogynist and everything else. And because I criticise feminism and not a lot, I regularly get accused of being an incel or like a leader of the incels, even though my message is the polar opposite to it. It's telling men, no, you aren't entitled to women, you're not involuntarily celibate, like you can get women, you have to fucking do the work yourself and step into your masculinity and understand the femininity and do things, and then you're actually going to get the female attention. So I get accused of that. I get accused of being an Andrew Tate supporter, of course. Like, basically I think the easiest way to put it is any men's advocate in today's day and age who criticises feminism, tells men to be masculine, is going to be accused of being misogynistic, patriarchal, toxic masculine, or an incel, because the feminists, Me Too feminists, the fourth wave, are so anti-male themselves and so hell-bent on trying to control society, the way we think, and they're sexist against men, that anyone who challenges their worldview is a huge threat to them. So they will try and shut you down through these bigoteering insults by trying to undermine who you really are as a man. Men attach far too much of their own self-worth to their success rate with women. And again, it makes sense where this stems from evolutionarily. But it taps at the core of who a man is. You know, if you're saying that he's bad in bed, if you're saying that he can't get women, these kind of things, like, it will really fucking hit a man at his core. So any man who is speaking up against these people, they're going to do that to try and drag them down. Does it make sense?
Oh, totally. I think it's really fascinating because I think even biologically, I'm going to say this is kind of weird, but my two dogs, I have two female dogs in heat right now.
Yeah.
And I believe that dogs are in the divine plan. They just are flowing with it. If you ever want to understand the divine plan, watch a dog. They just get it. They sleep when they want to sleep. They eat. They live, and they just, it's...
Sniff each other's asses.
They do whatever they want. They're just living with it, and then they're great. But so I have two female dogs in heat. Every morning, all of the male dogs in the neighborhood are outside of my garage, like my garage door, waiting for the puppies.
Yeah.
Just smelling it. It's like, it's not... Yeah. It's not something that they're consciously doing because they're dogs, but it's just a biologics thing where they're literally just waiting for the puppies. And then my partner walks out the door and the dogs are all humping my partner. And it's really made me think, I know this is wild, but in comparing this, but it's really made me think about just like the natural evolutionary biologics that are happening with men and women that we've kind of forgotten about in today's society, where it's before we were in this society where everything was so open-minded. And by the way, I love it. It's beautiful, to each their own, who you want to love, what you want to do. But there is a natural biologics of evolution of procreation.
Yeah, for sure.
That in order for us to survive as a species, we have to procreate. Yeah. That happens male to female. Yeah. And if a male is not able to procreate and they're dodged an incel, that's like it's extinction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I can understand from that lens of things how that must feel to be a man and to be told that. Yeah. But I think the way that we think about getting women is also fucked up. Yeah. Like, getting women, what does that mean? Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it's like, the way that you say that, like, we can't get a woman. Well, get a woman. What about I want to provide for a woman? I want to keep a woman safe. And that's the goal, rather than sleeping with women. I had a client come in this week. He paid 7,000 Aussie dollars to a group that guaranteed that on the day 3, he would bring a woman home. And he paid money to get coached on how to bring a woman home from the bar. Yeah. And that stuff exists. Yes, and that is that completely, I'm all for the Me Too movement with that. That's fucking gross. Yeah. Okay. How about just being like, if we think about natural selection in life, and I guess this is my next question for you, do you believe in divine union, or is it about getting women? Because then masculinity and femininity creates a completely different expression, right?
Sure. So I think where I would differ from you on that is, again, with biology, the male sex drive and the female sex drive are distinctly different, and we can see that there's a lot of data showing that men think about sex a lot more. The way that they're turned on is with the visual element, whereas with women there's a lot more that comes into it. You've spoken already about like feeling secure, the things that you say. It takes more for women to get turned on generally than it does for men. And again, if you look at like orgasm as well, the way that it works with men, it's pretty simple what you need to do, whereas with women it's a bit more complicated, right? So I think the pursuit of sex in itself is something that we're not going to change in men. The way that men are very, very sex oriented, it's a hugely powerful driver. And this, again, is one of the things that I really dislike about the Me Too movement, is they essentially try to make it like a social construct that men are just objectifying women all the time. That you might remember the Gillette advert that was really controversial. It was essentially saying that like boys will be boys is bad, like boys fighting is bad. There were clips in it of like a woman with a big arse and the men are looking at her. I don't think a lot of women really understand what it's like to be a man in your libido and the sex drive. If a woman has got cleavage on show, it is literally instinctual for you to look down. If there's a woman with a nice arse, like, you very consciously have to resist the temptation for it.
Consciously.
It's it's ingrained. Yeah, because we're not animals. You know, well, we are, but we're not incapable. But the drive, the instinct is very, very strong, and it operates in a much more powerful way than the female libido, I would say. So it's important that we recognise that, and we don't demonise men for having the highest sex drive and wanting to pursue sex, but simultaneously teaching them not to be perverts and not using that as an excuse to just be shit. And then also I wanted to come back to what you were saying earlier about like the getting women and providing thing, because I think it's true as well. Like there's both of them. There is an instinct that a lot of young men will feel in particular to just sleep around. You'll see this, they'll keep a scorecard of like how many women they've slept with. Like I've met some blokes, it's always so fucking juvenile when I see this, but I've met blokes in their 30s and they've got like notes on their phone of like every single girl that they've slept with. Like the body count, as you call it, is seen as like an achievement, which relates to that masculine drive to do things. But the pursuit of sex alone is something that I think men desire on a more numerical level as well. But simultaneously, part of grounded masculinity and true masculinity is to actually get past that and to be in control of your libido. And women respect that so much more. A sexually disciplined man and a man who can resist those urges and bypass that in the pursuit of actually finding like a deeper connection and having like a meaningful relationship. That is important too, and we need to encourage men to pursue that.
Well, I almost think like the guys that I know that have their sex count are also the guys that judge the woman with one, right? They'll all talk about the sluts and this and that, yet 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night in Bali, for anybody that's been out, the energy shifts at 11 p.m. It becomes a playing ground of predators. I can't even be out at that hour because it's just, again, because I'm very sensitive to it. Everyone is literally on alert looking to bring somebody home. And I think this is where there's an imbalance in both areas. So the feminine should have more respect for herself, should know who she is, should know her worth, and should demand respect from the masculine, right? But most women aren't taught that. They're taught to perform, and then they go out trying to look like a porn star, and they're trying to get this guy to want to bring them home to meet their mom, yet they acted like a porn star on the first night after a couple shots of tequilas, and you wonder why nobody wants to marry you. But then at the same time, men are out there just putting their dick anywhere they want, and it's kind of like, for fuck's sake, I want nothing to do with a man with that kind of energy, you know? Like, my partner, he was celibate for a long time. You know, and I think a lot of conscious men have to go through that celibacy if they're not taught that. And I think any man or woman, and this is for both of you guys watching this, that is hypersexual, you got inner child trauma to deal with. If you're hypersexual or hyposexual, something went wrong. And I think that people need to do the inner work on both sides. A woman that's good. I was that woman. I had sex with so many men, and I couldn't understand why they wouldn't want to be with me. I had the great job. I had the great body. I had all of it. But I was literally a man, a hypersexual man. Right? Yeah. And then I had to be like, you know what? I went and did my own inner work, and I went and saw all the sexual abuse that I saw and the role of the masculine, and I had to step back out of that and decide who I wanted to be, because I understand energetics in that however I'm showing up, the equal balance is going to come and meet me. Because you can't have two men in a relationship. It's going to be a nightmare. It won't work. You know, so it's like, what do I want? Do I want to keep attracting? And this is what I say to my women clients all the time. You want to be the boss babe, and you want to have that feminine little bitch boy that's 8 years old that doesn't know how to fucking cross his T's and dot his I's, and he doesn't know where he's going. Cool, keep going down that path. If you want a man, settle down. Know your worth. Start to nurture yourself. Take yourself out on dates. Spoil the shit out of yourself and show a man how to do it. Don't go trying to prove because the women out there that are sleeping around or out on dates, like I used to go out on dates and I would sit there and I'd be like, I make this much money and I have this car and my apartment looks like this. And it was like, why? Why am I trying to take my dick out and have a dick measuring contest with a guy I'm on a date with? Then the bill comes. Obviously he wants to split it. Why wouldn't he? I've now told him how much money I make. And there's no room for him to step in and lead anyways. So I had to kind of look myself in the mirror and be like, what kind of a life do you want to live? Do you want to be the breadwinner? Do you always want to be in control? Or do you want to surrender? And when it comes to orgasms, which we've touched on, it is the path of surrender.
Yeah.
It is not doing anything that makes an orgasm happen for a woman. It's letting go.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're in your hyper-masculine, most likely you're numb and you can't orgasm. So I guess dating in Bali, we've got, how even is that? Like, what is it like? And what do you look for to see if a woman is in her feminine or not? What are the signs that you would be looking for?
Yeah, it's something I actually kind of struggle to articulate because it's very much like a feeling when I meet the girl that I'm really drawn to because she's very much in her feminine. It's just like the energy that they give off, which is almost like a more feminine way of looking at it. But yeah, for me, it's kind of like that softness, that kindness. They're gentle, they're flowing, the way that they speak. You know, like I said, the softness, the way that they speak, the way that they touch, the energy that is emitted from them. I personally find it very like calming and intriguing. It is more submissive and passive, and not in a bad way. I know people like to say today that like those things, it's bad that femininity being passive is like a toxic idea of it, but I don't think that it is. That's normally for me what I would see as like the feminine side of things. But then also like I'd be lying to say like there's like for me like the sexiness is a big part of it as well. Like a woman who knows that she is hot and she has that sexual energy about her, but not in a cringy kind of way that's in your face. You know, you spoke earlier about like the porn star way of doing things. There's a kind of like elegant sexiness that comes to it. They'll give off a vibe that, you know, if you were with them in private elsewhere, like it would be amazing, but they don't have to put that in your face straight away the moment that you meet them, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And I think you're right. I think I see a lot of the women out there that are in these nothing outfits, these skimpy outfits, and they're showing everything. And of course, that's going to draw attention. Yeah. But is that the attention you want? I always ask, like, is that really the type of man that you want to be with, the one that's looking at that? Or do you want to dress a little bit more classy? And again, people will tell me that that's ridiculous for me to say out loud. Well, I used to dress that way, and now I couldn't. I wouldn't want to disrespect myself like that. I don't want a million men looking at me. Yeah. I have one that I want to look at me, but it's like I don't really need to go out and have 40 guys tell me that I'm hot anymore.
That's it. And the thing is, the harsh reality, if you're like that as a woman, most men, they're going to put you in the sex zone, see, like the friend zone. They are going to view you as a woman who they want to fuck, and that's it. They're not going to see you as partner material in the same way that men can exhibit certain personality traits and behave in a way that is just going to put women off them. But it is a harsh reality for women. Like men will not be drawn to women that they see as being too easy and too available, women that have too high a body count, these kind of things, because it isn't what they're drawn to. And also when you look into it a bit deeper as well, it often is a reflection of the woman is wanting attention from them. It's like, okay, well, why do you want that attention in the first place? And then same with the man, like, why are you constantly pursuing sex all the time with these random women and avoiding any emotional connection? Like you said earlier about trauma and stuff, there's probably something going on behind there where you're trying to fill a void that isn't satisfying you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The filling the void is so important because that's exactly what it is, right? Yeah. It's like not wanting to end up going home alone. Yeah. Because if I'm alone, then I'm going to have to be with my feelings, and that's not fun. Yeah. You know, but in reality, that's the game. It's like once you become in love with yourself, and not in like a self-absorbed way, but once you love who you are and you're not afraid of being alone, the game ends.
Absolutely.
Because there's no more competition, there's no more proving it. Yeah. I'm okay going home with me at the end of the night. That's amazing. Yeah. And I think most people that are stuck in inner child trauma have a fear that they don't recognize that is about ending up alone because there was some sort of a love that they needed from one of their primary caregivers that didn't come. So they started to believe that they were going to end up alone. And then that's scary. Yeah. Until you recognize being alone is the greatest gift of all time. You get to be with you.
Yeah. Well, there's also the evolutionary lens with it as well, that if you ended up on your own out of the tribe, you were fucked as a human. Bearing in mind, you know, the way that we live today, we've only existed in this state for a few hundred years. If that, out of the like tens of thousands of years, I can't remember the exact, it's either hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of years that humans have been around. Like, we were hunter-gatherers for a lot of it. And if you were away from the pack, the tribe, chances are you were pretty fucked. You're probably going to die in that state. So yeah, if you feel like you're going to be abandoned by intimate partners or your parents because you've got an inner child wound or an attachment problem, whatever it is, it taps into that part of our lizard brain where we fear the worst case scenario. And what you were saying about self-love is so true. It's the limiting beliefs, the classics of feeling like you're not good enough or you're not loved. They can resonate in all areas of your life, business and relationships. There was also one thing I wanted to add earlier as well, actually, in terms of like with women and something that's attractive. And I don't know whether this is more of like a masculine trait or not, but I think when you have a woman who's really in touch with her femininity, she's also able to like hold her ground. Like she's not a doormat that you're gonna be able to walk over, even if they are a bit more passive and submissive. Like I think a woman who's really embodied in her femininity, like she there's a strength that comes with it in its own way that I struggle to articulate. You might be able to articulate it better, but there's something about them where you can tell that like they know themselves, they're grounded, they're not going to tolerate shit, they're not going to tolerate shit men. Like you have to step up to win them over, right? To get that kind of woman, you need to be grounded in your masculinity as a man. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, for sure. And I think it's not about being more masculine or feminine. To me, I think it's being balanced. It's about a woman that's in her feminine must feel safe in her own energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she'd be in the masculine trying to prove herself. So if she's in her feminine, she feels safe within herself, which means she's done the inner work. And it's just like you said, it's like a woman that's done the inner work knows who the fuck she is.
Yeah.
And she's powerful enough to step into that role. Like, that's why, again, people always ask me, like, why are you a boxer? I'm like, because, yes, I'm both. And I would love to be in my feminine 24/7, unfortunately, but that would be weak.
Yeah.
I need to be a powerful feminine that's, that knows who she is, that can step in and speak my truth. I'm not going to allow people to walk all over me because that's weak feminine. That's distorted feminine. Like a powerful feminine knows who she is, knows who the fuck she is going to be, and then she believes she deserves to receive respect, admiration, and love from her partner or from a man.
Yes.
But a woman like that isn't looking to sleep with multiple men. A woman like that wants a partner. She wants love. She's in touch with her emotions and she's in touch with herself. Like that's not going to be a woman that's going to sleep with you on the first night. So I think it depends on where are you at in your growing up as a man. Do you want a woman that's going to be an amazing partner and wife and mother? Or do you want to fuck? And that's the getting woman thing. And it's like, you're not going to get a woman that's embodied in her feminine.
That's it. Yeah, well, I mean, so many men make this mistake of prioritizing sex over everything, and they will just overlook so many red flags in a woman because they're so driven to the physical element. And I have to take like ownership for this myself. Like I've been there. Like my past relationship that I was in, just like thinking of the woman and how she was like physically and like the energy that she gave off, but we were so incompatible on so many fronts. But I was just so like drawn by the physical element and the sexual side of things, and it's so fucking common for men to do that way into their 20s and their 30s still as well, like putting that above everything else, and it will always come back to bite you on the arse if that's the only thing that you put forward.
And when it bites you in the ass, I think the beautiful part is that when something comes in and it doesn't work out and you come into that state of fuck, that's when we have to do the inner work. That's when we have to go and look at those demons and look at what did I attract this person with? Was I consciously choosing this woman? Or was this an unconscious part of my subconscious trying to fill a void of oh, I'm cool because I got this, or oh, I'm worthy because I got this, rather than this is a conscious choice for me to step into a relationship with this person because I believe we're both going to be able to better each other in some way. Of course, the sex is part of it, but the emotional part, the mental part, and I think it really comes down to having fun. Do you even have fun together? Soberly too. Like, can you actually have freaking fun together and laugh? And we make it so serious. I think men go out on dates trying to see if they're gonna fuck, and women go out on dates trying to figure out, like, it's like a full questionnaire of like, do you check all these boxes? That's exhausting. So
Yeah.
my advice to anybody trying to date, go out and have freaking fun. Just see if you have
Yeah.
fun first. Then start to see how, for me, I always say to women, just see how the man shows up.
Yeah.
Does he call when he says he's going to? Does he show up on time? Does he make a reservation? That
Yeah.
signs to me that a man isn't as masculine. He's
Yeah.
says he's going to do something and he follows through and he does it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
not really about, oh, I make this much money, and it's like,
Posturing, yeah.
what did you tell me you were going to do, and did you do it?
Yeah, yeah.
That is masculine to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's a kind of juvenile masculine thing to be posturing about how much money you make. Like, a mature masculine man.
None of us, to be honest, we don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Women, we really, I mean,
Yeah.
some do,
Yeah.
but that is not what I looked for. What I
Yeah.
looked for was a man that was just reliable, accountable, on time, did what he
Yeah.
said he was going to do, followed through, grounded.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the only important thing to me.
It provides that security, doesn't it? And again, there's a lot of research that shows like women are often drawn to men who they have the ambition and the drive rather than the money. Like a man could be broke, but if the woman really feels that like he's getting his shit together or has got it
Yeah.
together and he's going somewhere, that is attractive in itself. But so many guys today have this delusion that it's just about money and status. And again, this has been pushed by like Red Pill and Tate in particular, like this idea, okay, if you have a six pack, if you have lots of money, then the women are going to love you. And it's like, you could have a six pack and loads of money, but be fucking emotionally inept. And that is not going to get women. Or it's only going to get the women who, as you alluded to, there's a certain kind. And that's not going to lead to a healthy relationship for either of you.
No, but it's always perfect because whoever you're attracting is in resonance because of universal law, the laws of resonance. So what you are attracting, so if you're watching this, my biggest advice is go out, see what type of a person you are attracting, and then ask yourself, is this who I want to be? And that's when you do the inner work of am I attracting all the sluts? Okay, cool. Let me go and, or am I attracting all the prudes? Okay, maybe I need to get some of my self-worth up. Whatever it is, it's like find out where you're out of balance with your own life.
Yeah.
And it really is beautiful because when we go out in the real world, life will mirror exactly how we are on the inside. So it's kind of a little dance.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So I know you're going to be working with men. How are you going to help them shift through these things in your programs?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm working on at the moment in terms of trying to craft my offer. I've only been coaching for a year. I started as an influencer and then pivoted to coaching without bullshitting because I lost like 95% of my pay through TikTok. They just cut it like that. So I was forced to adapt. But yeah, I think for me, the focus is building out some kind of program that helps men to grow holistically on all fronts, be that health, wealth, relationships, the internal work. I don't think for me in terms of what I'm capable of and how I see things, it just needs to be one very cut down niche. I think if I can help men to embody their masculinity, to be better partners, to be more entrepreneurial, to grow, to do things, to build good friendships, to build brotherhoods, those connections around them, and ultimately grow up to be men that are then better fathers and better partners, that for me would be a win. That would be me helping to achieve things. And on a macro level as well, like changing the way that society views things, like restoring that positive view of masculinity and femininity, recognizing the beauty of both of them and how fucking important it is that we appreciate one another.
And work together, for
Yeah,
fuck's
for
sake.
sure.
Why are we trying to fight?
Yeah, it's so divided at the moment. And it's something that I'm highly cautious of with my own content because I fear that I'm playing into it. But it is very divided at the moment, and that appreciation for the two is what is going to help us to be more harmonious as a society, right? So yeah, for my own program, we'll have to see how that works out. At the moment, I'm focusing on personal branding in the masculine lens, but I'm working on something new at the moment.
Well, don't fear your voice because I think it's great and I think your opinion is incredible and I think it's meant to be heard. Your authenticity is going to be your greatest superpower. So no matter what, just keep being authentic
Yeah.
and keep sharing what you really truly believe as truth.
and just being a walking embodiment of that, because too many men are a walking contradiction. They preach all this masculinity, but they're so distorted. So I think to actually say, hey, this is what I feel, and I know you think I know you think what I'm saying is that I'm against the feminine, but what I'm really saying is I love the feminine. And I want you to feel safe to be in that element if you want to be. If you want to go build a business, go do it because you want to, not because you have something to prove. You know?
For sure.
So it's a different energy, and I think a lot of people need to hear this because it's true. The way that I am in my relationship, it's very much like, you know, I'm trying to build a business, we're thinking about starting a family, and it's very confusing when those roles start changing in the house. So I really appreciate your lens on it.
No, appreciate it. Thank you.
How can people get in touch with you?
They can find me on Insta, on YouTube, and on TikTok. I wouldn't recommend the TikTok though, because I don't have DMs turned on there. But it's just Ollie Dobson. You can put the ats in the link on this, I assume.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your opinion, and I hope that this really helps some viewers on masculinity and how it isn't so toxic.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks. I'm sure this episode may have people's minds spinning that are not in the same truth sector about masculinity, because this is one where a lot of people have a big opinion on this, and there's a lot of emotion about this. So again, this episode is all about exploring truth, embodied truth, and how people have come to their own manifestations of what they believe. And I, for one, am in awe of the depth of wisdom and the powerful insights that he shared with me about masculinity, relationships, and the path to balance. So I hope this episode gave you a deeper understanding of some of the challenges that men may be facing in today's dating landscape, some insights into how societal imbalances may be affecting relationships and personal growth. And I really hope for men it gave you some practical strategies for cultivating grounded masculinity, if that's something you're looking for, and a new perspective on how you can navigate evolving gender roles and expectations. It's really, really important here that we look at the self-work and personal growth in creating healthy relationships. And whether you're a man on your own journey of growth or someone seeking to understand and support the men in your life, remember that true strength comes from authenticity, in my opinion, vulnerability, and a willingness to evolve. And as we close this episode, I invite you to sit with these insights and let them percolate a little bit in your heart and your mind. If something resonated with you today, honor that feeling. It's your inner wisdom guiding you towards growth and healing. And perhaps you're being called to explore your own relationship with masculinity, heal old wounds, or how to show up more authentically in your own relationships. Whatever it is, trust that impulse. Because remember, the journey to wholeness isn't easy. It requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to look inside, find your own truth. And with each step, you're not just transforming you contribute to the healing of our collective consciousness, which is the point of this whole game, I promise. So for those of you wanting to dive deeper into these topics, I really encourage you to check out Ollie's work, as well as my Soul Path Mastery program. If you're looking to explore your own healing journey of healing and growth, know that I'm here to support you, whether it's through energy work, shadow healing, or spiritual practices. There are just so many beautiful ways to cultivate balance and authenticity in your life. So thank you for being part of this conversation today. Your presence, your openness, your willingness to grow is all that matters. We're trying to create a world here where all of us, regardless of gender, can show up fully, authentically, and lovingly. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on your favorite podcast channel, I'd love if you could give me a like, subscribe, or comment on another topic that you would like to hear in a future episode. So until next time, may you walk in grace, strength, and love. Remember, your journey to wholeness starts now. Are you ready to take that next step?